So, for more on the Budapest crossroads, let's go to our guest. Joining us from Moscow is Mr. Sergei Markov, former advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin. And from Washington, Mr. Dennis Jaffe, who is a strategic expert on these affairs. Before we go on, Mr. Jaffe, is it Jaffe or Jaff? I want to get it right.
Thank you, Mark. Good to be with you, Merhaba. And the last name is pronounced Jaffe.
Jaffe. I just wanted to get that right before we carried on. Thank you very much. I'll come to you first, Sergei Markov. Secretary Rubio, now his emergence as the primary U.S. diplomat, does this signal like an end to President Trump, more informal diplomacy?
I think it's not clear Donald Trump signal. From a Russian point of view, not so important as the postponing of the Budapest summit. Is, by the way, have not cancelled, was more postponed, because Russia also believes that such meeting should be better prepared. Such meeting, Putin Trump should have a result. That's why it should be prepared. So it's not so important postponing this meeting, but very important is sanction. Vladimir clearly responded to the Donald Trump that no any nation which dignity will be something under the pressure. So if sanction against Russian oil sector imposed now by Donald Trump, it means it's pressure. It means that any Donald Trump suggestion will be regarded by Russian side not as a suggestion, but as demands, as order. And so our answer will have to be, thank you, no, Mr. Trump. Another suggestion it's about Tomahawk, because Tomahawk cannot be sent by, cannot be used by Ukrainian army, because it could be targeted only by American army. It means, as a so-called giving Tomahawk to the Ukrainian army, meaning that American army will take part in the war against Russia. And it potentially can lead to the nuclear catastrophe. And stopping nuclear catastrophe, it was the main policy of Donald Trump. So Russia very much now misunderstanding what Donald Trump is doing. Maybe under the pressure, under influence of Marco Rubio or some another representative of deep state, we don't know. But it's clear that Donald Trump changed his policy towards Russia. And two examples.
Okay, Dennis Jaffe, coming to you.
Sanctions and tomahawks. Talks about tomahawks.
Okay, well, let me come to Dennis Jaffe. Let me bring you in, sir. Do you agree that there is a difference between the way diplomacy is being carried out when it comes to Secretary Rubio, perhaps a more old-school approach, Donald Trump, perhaps more transactional? And if there is a difference, does this approach complement any talks, or does it risk confusing allies and also confusing Moscow?
Mark, great question. I think the key word is indeed confusion. You know, most of us in this world basically have a very singular mission, which is we want to do well for ourselves. We want to be happy. We want to be successful. Donald Trump puts that on steroids. It is all about Trump. To heck with anything else, to heck with anyone else, to heck with any issue. It's all about him to such a degree that dwarfs anything, just on steroids. And one of the tactics that he uses in order to achieve all about Donald Trump is to create attention for himself. And what he does there is he throws everyone off guard all the time. He will say crazy things just to get attention and to get people saying, what is he doing? Gee, that doesn't make sense. Yesterday he said something, today he says something else. And so confusion reigns supreme. When he takes a position today, wait 24 hours and he may well change his mind. He has given ultimatums to Russia time after time after time. And then he says, you know, in 2 weeks, if they don't shape up, if they don't show seriousness about pursuing peace, then we're going to get really serious. And then 2 weeks come and nothing happens. And then he holds a summit in Alaska with President Putin. And then they announce that they're on the verge of a ceasefire. And then what happens? There is no ceasefire. It is all a circus. It is a show. It is throwing people off balance to wait. What is it that Donald Trump is about to do? So yes, confusion is what reigns supreme here.
Confusion doesn't seem to be getting us very far at the moment. But coming back to you, Sergei Markov, Russia, tell us about this Russian offer of security guarantees to NATO in the EU. And are they really credible, simultaneously showcasing these new weapons at the same time?
New weaponry, it's just development of Russia ability to protect, to defend itself from the possible aggression of from NATO and from EU, from United States, and so on. It's one. And different security negotiations, security guarantee, exactly needed when a lot of weaponry belong to the both sides. If no new dangerous weaponry, what sense for security guarantee? So first of all, now we can see a very big propagandistic campaign, first of all, from party of war of Europe, who is talking, oh, Russia want next after Ukraine, want to have big offensive and send its troops to European countries and so on. And we understand very well that it's a clear lie and clear propaganda which have a goal to increase military spending and to suppress political opposition. But also, Russian leaders need to send signal to all European countries, communities, societies, and elites. Look, we have absolutely no plan to have any aggression against European countries. And we want to give you some guarantee about this. Let's have some negotiation about such a security guarantee. It's the main Russian message, not even to government, who understand that all European governments, they are enemies of Russia, they are liars, and they know they're talking about Russian threat, and they know very well that they're lying themselves. But this is Russian message to the European society.
Okay, and coming back to you, Mr. Jaffe. So before we're going to come on to the nuclear testing situation in just a moment, but how do you view Prime Minister Viktor Orban in all this and Hungary's position? Of course, Orban has particular personal ties to President Trump.
Right. Well, President Trump talks about personal ties, but we don't necessarily see how that manifests into results that help improve peace or economic prosperity in any country or around the world. We just see him talking about he has relationships. They don't seem to necessarily be all that consequential. I heard my colleague in Russia talk about security guarantees, and you asked Mark about President Orban. I kind of think back to 31 years ago, where in 1994, there was the Budapest Memorandum, where Ukraine agreed to give up nuclear arms capabilities, and Russia agreed to allow for security for Ukraine in return. Well, something happened since then with the invasion in 2012 into the annexation, I should say, of Crimea, as well as the invasion subsequent in 2022. So it's difficult to have trust there. That we must have a lot of scrutiny with respect to any words, promises, if we could use that word, with respect to security guarantees that Russia wishes to make with respect to the European Union and Ukraine. It's concerning. So the Budapest Memorandum, which is where Russia issued its commitment of peace with Ukraine, and now we're going back to Budapest and to Hungary. So that sends the wrong signal. Again, it's Trump cozying up to Putin and dissing our ally in Ukraine.
Well, it does seem from you reminding us of that memorandum that last time Budapest was involved like this, it didn't really turn out very well for Ukraine. Sergei Markov, coming to you, President Trump has ordered to resume nuclear testing. Are we looking at a new arms race?
Of course, it's a threat of the arm race, but I don't think that Donald Trump will really make the decision to start a nuclear test. Because Russia not doing this, I think that United States also will not do this. It's first. Secondly, let me respond to my colleague about Budapest Memorandum. It's not Russia violated Budapest Memorandum of 1994. It's United States and Europe and Great Britain sharply violated this memorandum, because this memorandum told that all countries, including United States, Great Britain, should respect sovereignty of Ukraine. But what United States and Europe and Great Britain made, they overthrown democratic elected president of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych, and they imposed neo-colonial repressive regime. There are no independent Ukraine from 2014. There are no democratic Ukraine from 2014. It's neo-colony of the Western countries who, by such, sharply violated Budapest Memorandum. And then third point about arm race, it's more connected, arm race threat more connected not with this talk about nuclear test, but more with Golden Dome rocket missile system of Donald Trump, which he wants to do. Because if he will do this, Russia will have to increase its nuclear rocket missiles capacity to crash this, to be able to crash this Golden Dome. That's why exactly Putin sent signal to the Donald Trump by showing this Poseidon rocket missiles, Sea rocket missiles, and others. It shows that, look, Golden Dome will not protect you. Don't destroy fully armed control system by building this Golden Dome.
Okay, well, let me just bring Dennis Jaffe back in there. I want you to comment on the potential for a new nuclear arms race, Dennis Jaffe, but also would you like to come back there on what Sergei Markov was saying about it was the United States, it was Britain, it was the EU, which broke the 1994 memorandum by overthrowing a democratic elected Ukrainian government and making it a power, like a colony for the Western powers. What would you say on that?
Well, Ukraine is not a member of the European Union. The European Union did not admit Ukraine into the European Union. And so it rings hollow with respect to the degree to which Europe, which is not even militarily in Ukraine, that they are suddenly covering for Ukraine as its sister country. They offer support, they offer supplies, but they are not in Ukraine. They did not invade Ukraine. They did not invade another country. I think it's rich to talk about other countries violating sovereignty of another country. I think it's rich to hear that from my colleague. Even under President Trump, I'm glad to say that we still have freedom of speech in the United States, and I would look forward to having that candid exchange where we hear a truthful perspective with respect to what Russia is actually doing. With respect to the risks of a nuclear arms race, look, President Trump is known for being very, very prone to changing his opinion. He's very, very erratic. and that does not breed trust, confidence, and calm. However, there is also a nickname that Donald Trump has in the United States, and it's TACO, TACO, which stands for Trump Always Chickens Out. And so he talks with bravado, but with respect to nuclear arms testing, he might engage in something, and that cannot be mitigated. It cannot be made small, but it remains to be seen as to just how serious he actually is. He tends to talk tougher than he actually acts.
And coming to you, Sergei Markov, we had this meeting that was supposed to be taking place in Budapest, the meeting between Trump and Putin. It's now a meeting between Marco Rubio and Sergei Lavrov. What do you think Moscow is hoping to get out of this meeting in Hungary?
I think Moscow wants from a meeting between Lavrov and Rubio a response from American side. Sergei Lavrov a few days ago gave very important big interview to the Hungarian media when he told, look, what happened? Americans created some plan how to stop war in Ukraine. Witkoff come with this plan to the Kremlin and had 4 hours negotiation with Vladimir Putin, and Russia more or less agree with such characteristic of such American plan. But Russia also gave some Russian suggestion how to make this plan better and more realistic. And now we're waiting American response. American told, it's not me, it's Lavrov told, American told that, look, we need some powers to discuss this and so on. So these powers continue, and Sergei Lavrov definitely asked Marco Rubio, look, when you stop your powers and when you will give response to our suggestion. Now we agree with main American idea. What about our ideas? Let's discuss this. I think it was a most important for discussion. And of course, it's absolutely clear that Russia wants Americans to recognize that peace impossible if Ukrainian regime will continue political repression against Orthodox Church. Peace impossible if Ukrainian regime will continue political repression against Russian language, Russian culture, overthrowing of the monumentum to the Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. It's not way to peace, absolutely clear. It's Russian expecting that United States will accept this Russian absolutely clear serious demand. Russia not fighting for territories. Russia fighting for very strong demands. No anti-Russia by methods of terror on the place of Ukraine.
Okay, and Denis Jaffe, why do you think that Donald Trump cancelled this meeting with President Putin? Of course, when they met in Alaska, all the talk was of sanctions being put, all the threats, you're right, the famous Trump 2 weeks threat. All the talk was having sanctions being put on. Putin managed to convince him not to, and there was no talk of sanctions after that moment. What do you think he's trying to get out? Putin might be wanting to get out of this meeting with Marco Rubio, especially when the EU are preparing to use Russian money as financial aid to Ukraine. Perhaps that could be it?
Well, first, I think we need to have a calendar up on display showing the 2-week marks. President Trump says if Russia does not move toward peace by X date, then we're going to show them what we're going to do at that point. And then a few weeks come by and nothing happens. And then the question that the media needs to ask of Donald Trump is, you said 2 weeks. Here's the calendar. Here's the day of 2 weeks. You're not doing anything. Why did you fail to keep your promise? Do you make threats and then you don't carry through? So that's one thing. With respect to not pursuing the meeting with President Putin, I think it's pretty clear he had much fanfare, much publicity, and much circus celebration with respect to rolling out the red carpet for President Putin in Alaska, and nothing came of it. There were no results after several days. Nothing actually happened. He's not going to do that again so soon. And he does not expect that there will be a breakthrough with President Putin, so he can't afford to meet with him again, and then it's basically strike two. So he has to lower expectations, and the way to do that is to not meet.
Coming to you, Sergei Markov, then. So we have these sanctions. We've got the new U.S. sanctions that have eventually come, hitting major oil companies. Do you think the Kremlin is generally concerned that there might be some disruption to its global oil trade, especially when it comes to partners like India and to China? Is this going to be a major concern of Sergei Lavrov's when it comes to the meeting?
No. Russia not so much concerned about these new American sanctions. Russia concerned that Donald Trump changed his policy from dialogue to the crying and making a rude, aggressive decision by doing the sanction. It's mostly important. And also, we're absolutely sure that India and China, independent countries, I would say country civilizations, it's in India and China, they are superpower of the future global world. And they will not follow orders, demands from Washington. We're absolutely sure that India and China will continue to buy Russian soil. They will use different ways how to avoid problems because of sanctions, but nevertheless, they will continue to do it. And look how markets reacted. Oil price increased only to 5%. So it's very small increasing. Markets understand these sanctions created more problems for specific businesses, but will not influence big economy. And also I should remember that part of the gas and oil in Russian budget, only 17%. I know that most of the analysts, different countries regards Russia as, some Arabic oil and gas countries, but Russia it's not. Russia has big economy.
I'm going to have to break it down. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to talk to you, Mr. Jaffe, about all the different jobs that Marco Rubio has. Secretary of State, National Security Advisor, USAID Administrator, but unfortunately we're just out of time to get into that. Sergei Markov, former advisor to Russian President Vladimir Putin, thank you very much indeed. And Denis Jaffe, Strategic Affairs Expert. It's a pleasure to have you both on the program. Thank you very much indeed. Now, from the diplomatic crossroads in Budapest to the new nuclear fault lines, the tension is clear. Is it recalibration or retreat? The world watches as the US pivots its strategy and risks unraveling decades of non-testing norms. We'll continue to track the signals from both fronts. That brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank, where we always try to unveil the complexities of our changing world. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.